Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. So today I wanted to do a review of my new cross-strung harp. It's the Rebecca 30 from Stoney End. And I also kind of wanted to give you some of my first impressions on playing the cross-strung harp. It's obviously quite a bit different than the harp that I've been learning, but it's actually not totally different. So here we go. This is the Rebecca 30, as I mentioned, from Stoney End. And of course it's called a 30 because it does have 30 natural strings. It goes from a G up here down to an F. And you can see that lower octave has all bass wires. Which I really like. They make a nice deep sound. And then there is 21 pentatonic strings, which are the accidentals or the flats and naturals of your scale. So that starts on F sharp and ends on an F sharp up here. They sound really nice. It's an F sharp pentatonic scale, so it's very pretty. And as you can see, the Fs are still blue and the Cs are still red, despite the fact that they're F sharps and C sharps. So that does help a little bit with identification while you're playing. A trick or a tip that I wanted to mention, obviously when you have almost double the amount of strings on a regular harp, you're going to have a lot of time tuning. And since the pegs are on the opposite side of the neck, it can be kind of tricky to tell what you're doing or what is where. So I took little hair bands that you'd use for like a little kid's hair, just the little tiny rubber elastics in red and blue. And I put them on the tuning pegs for the Fs and the Cs. So now it's really easy for me to pick out where exactly I need to have my tuning wrench and what string I am working on, because it can be really confusing. Another thing I wanted to mention, the left hand when playing cross-strung harp, if you are familiar with piano or have played any piano, it's going to feel really intuitive. For instance, like an F chord is the same as on your harp down here on these strings. But if you're wanting to play an F sharp, you reach up here to this string. There's one chord. But that F sharp sits right next to and slightly above the F string, which is just like a piano. So that was really intuitive for me, and I find the left hand much easier than I find the right hand. And this leads us to perhaps the most difficult part of the cross-strung harp, at least for me. Your left hand is completely opposite from the way that the right hand works because of the way that the strings cross in the middle. On the right hand, your diatonic strings are up top. So there's your F chord, and you must reach below the F string to play that F sharp. So if you're playing passages that are quick, or the left hand is mirroring the right hand, it can get really confusing because of course your left hand is not actually mirroring your right hand. One is reaching up and one is reaching down. So that can be very confusing. Another thing that I found pretty different with the cross-strung harp is that you need to learn new chord positions that can get kind of convoluted. For instance, I've been trying to learn this song with a B flat chord in it. So I need to put a finger on B flat up here, which normally, since it's the lowest note, I would use my ring finger. But since I have to reach all the way up for that, I've ended up using my first finger, and the chord looks more like this. So in order, I pull the strings when I'm rolling the chord, first finger, third finger, fourth finger, thumb, which it's very different than just easily placing your hands on the strings. And so that was also a little difficult to adjust to, and I'm still learning the right positions for me. I feel like everyone's going to have a different hand size and ability for your fingers to reach different strings, so it will be probably different for everybody, a chord position that works. One thing that I found really helpful was to play as near to the center where the strings cross as I could when I'm trying to do things that involve an accidental. So instead of trying to go all the way up here and all the way down here, that's just not helpful. So yeah, as far as the sound of the Stoney End, I really, really love it. I have one made of maple, which I really like. I think it's a pretty wood, and it resonates really hugely. I would say it does have a warmer sound than my Ravenna 34, which is a pretty bright harp. But I do really like it, and I will play a couple of arpeggios for you on the diatonic strings so you can kind of get an idea of the sound. So here's some chords in G. And you can hear that slightly out of tune. This is a new harp, and I did just tune it, but the strings jump out fairly quickly, especially, I imagine, with all the pressure on the soundboard from the two sets of strings. It's going to take a while for this one to settle and find its voice. And I think that was all that I really had to share with you regarding the Rebecca 30 and cross-strung harps in general. This is my only experience with a cross-strung harp. I have never played another one, so I can't say how exactly representative this is in terms of string spacing or the size of the harp. But I will say that I haven't really had any trouble at all with strings hitting into or buzzing against each other, despite the fact that the crossing of the strings is fairly narrow. They are very close to each other, but I haven't had any difficulty with that, so that's great. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask them in the comments. Anything that you might want to know or that you are wondering about this harp or my experiences playing cross-strung in general. I'm very hopeful that I will get a progress video up soon once I am actually able to play a song. I've been rather ambitious and have chosen a very chromatic one. So to really, I mean, that's what the cross-strung harp is for, to have fun with chromatics. So I really want to show it off. But hopefully that will be up soon. Thank you all so much for watching, and I hope to see you next time.